Hey, how you doing today? I am Tequila Coleman. In today's video, we're going to talk about stage 7 of the 9 stages God ordained believing spouses will go through before you see the manifestation of this promise. Now, stage 7 is all about the illegal seal stage. And I want to talk about stage 7 because some of you believe that you are, at this stage in your love story, but yet you're lacking clarity. So I want to make this video just to talk a little bit more about it, to bring some more clarity, to identify if you are at the illegal seal stage. Okay. Now, these 9 stages, I do have it in my book, God Ordained Marriage. You can find this over on Amazon. Just type in God Ordained Marriage, or you can type in my name and get your copy of the book. But let me just say this before I get started. When we talk about these 9 stages the believing spouse would go through before you see this promise manifest, I want you to know that these 9 stages only applies to the believing spouse, okay? So while you will be the only one going through this, the God ordained believing spouse, okay? So you have your own process of what God is going to take you through, and your prodigal, he or she has their own process of what they have to go through, okay? Now, as you are going through these different stages, it doesn't mean once you, like, I'll give you an example. Once you get to stage 5 and then you reach stage 6, that don't necessarily mean that your prodigal is at stage 6 with you, okay? No. You can be at stage 9 and your prodigal can still be going through their judgment season, okay? Or even up under God's wrath, okay? Just know that these 9 stages, it has to do only with the believing spouse, okay? So the Lord gave me this revelation last year. I was reading the book of Matthew, chapter 26, 27, 28. And the Lord began to speak to me, and he just began to highlight to me, each stages and how, I have went through these stages, right? And he just began to download more information to me. Basically, this is how the stages came about in the book of Matthew, chapter 26, 27, 28, okay? Now, when we talk about stage 7, the illegal seal stage, last year at the time of, when God gave me this revelation, God highlighted to me, one of the ways how the illegal seal comes upon believing spouses is it comes upon us based off of what we are saying, right? And God was telling me, the enemy was convincing believing spouses to come into agreement with his plan. And one of the ways how we were coming into agreement with the enemy's plan where we were speaking against our own love story. So last year I was saying things such as, I don't want this, I'm tired of this, I'm done standing, etc., etc. And not without me knowing, just by me speaking against these things, even though I thought in my mind, I'm venting, or I'm just expressing, my anger or my frustration, not understanding that was the enemy causing me or influencing me to come into agreement with his plans, right? So that was the revelation God gave me last year, concerning the illegal seal stage. However, last month, I believe it was last month, I revisit the stages. So I went back in the book of Matthew and I just started reading over chapter 26, 27, 28, and God highlighted some more things to me concerning the illegal seal stage. Now, and I really believe I got more revelation too, because I'm no longer at the illegal seal stage. I'm at stage 8. Okay, so I know exactly. I think I'm stage 8, about to walk into stage 9. So I was able to see more of my own situation, in this illegal seal stage. So here's the thing. Here's what God highlighted to me. When we talk about the stage 7, the illegal seal stage. So illegal seal, that has to do with something that is illegal, right? In your love story, okay, somewhere in your love story, the enemy place certain things on you that cause your prodigal spouse to reject you. It caused your prodigal spouse to see you in, like see you differently, right? To see what is good to be bad and bad to be good, right? And some of the ways how this is done, the counterfeits or the enemy, they will put love spells on your prodigal spouse, and they would do a separation spell on a believing spouse, right? They might even attack you with humiliation spells, right? They might even perform graveyard rituals. They might even take your personality and lock it up in a box, okay? They would do destiny transfer attempt, right? The enemy, all throughout this love story, it just trying different tricks, to get you to appear differently to your prodigal spouse, right? That is the whole enemy's goal, to have you look like the counterfeit and to have the counterfeit look like God ordained, okay? So the enemy been manipulating a lot of things in this love story. And like I said, a spirit of rejection could have been sent your way. And again, when a spirit of rejection is sent your way, you would know this because you and your spouse could have been, starting out great. Y'all connection was strong, but then suddenly out of the blue, the connection is cut. Your spouse just break away from you, ghost you, disappear, abandon you, start rejecting you for the counterfeit, right? This is how you know a spirit of rejection is now attached to your life. Now, that spirit of rejection would also have you appearing differently to your spouse, okay? So again, your spouse will see you, what is good, as bad, okay? And they will see the counterfeit as good when really, some of these counterfeits are operating witchcraft, okay? So when we talk about this illegal seal stage, whatever the enemy was throwing your way that now caused your spouse to see you differently, to reject you, to overlook you, to not see your value, this is the stage where all of these things begin to come off. And it's God removing these things off of you, okay? This is one of the reasons why we have to go through these different stages, okay? Because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know how the enemy is coming up against this love story. We don't know when the enemy has sent spirit of rejection, our way. We don't know when the enemy is doing separation spells and humiliation spells on us. We don't know these things. All we know is what we see that happens in that moment, right? So this is one of the reasons why God have us going through these different stages, because he's growing us, he's developing us, and he's breaking off these curses, the enemy has placed on our lives. He's helping us to get free, okay? And so again, when we get to stage 7, whatever the enemy placed on you or sent your way that caused your spouse to not see your value or to respond to you in a wrong manner, now these things are coming off of you. Now your spouse is starting to see your value. Now I'm going to tell you this because you might not be aware of this, but by the time you get to stage 7, you should still be in a divine separation with your spouse, okay? Stage 5 talks about the death stage. Stage 6 is the burial stage, right? So the death stage is really when divine separation happened, okay? So when you get to stage 7, like I said, you and your spouse should be in a divine separation, meaning no communication, okay? You're not seeing one another. You don't know what's going on if you're 100% obedient to divine separation. Now, what you're not going to realize is that the Lord is going to lead and guide your prodigal to be watching you, to observe you from a distance. And you're not going to be aware of this. But while your prodigal is observing you, God is also removing these things off of you because they were illegal. Okay, the enemy placed itself on you to have you appear differently to your prodigal. So while your prodigal is observing you and watching you, God is highlighting your value to your prodigal. Now your prodigal is seeing things about you that they didn't see in the beginning. So now, and this is why God is leading your spouse to observe you. So now your prodigal, while they're watching you from a distance, they seeing and observing your personality. They observing your work ethic. They're observing, just how you show up in the world, right? They taking notice of your character, right? So, and all it is strategic from God. And all of these things that they're noticing now, because they didn't notice these things in the beginning, now that they're noticing these things, they're like, wait a minute, I was wrong about him or her. Now they are getting clarity of who the real enemy is and where the enemy is operating, like who the enemy is operating through. Because now they see what the enemy was whispering in their ear was wrong. It was false about you. Okay? Now, and I'll say this. Even if your spouse, let's say your spouse didn't even give you a chance, right? They didn't give you a chance to get to know you for who you are. They didn't give you a chance, like to go out on date, to court, any of these things, right? They just believed whatever they saw. They just took things at face value. They looked at the appearance of things and felt like you just wasn't good enough for them, or just felt like, they just didn't see your value. Now when we get to stage 7, because God is highlighting your value, now when they begin to see your value, and this is really when God began to teach the prodigal husband what it really means to find a wife. Like, this is when God gives them like a 101 class on wife, okay? Because sometimes in the beginning, when we're interacting with our prodigals, right, they think they have the wrong definition of what a wife is, okay? Because of all of that unhealed hurt and pain that's in the heart, because of the, trauma from the past, because of their own experiences with all these other women, they have like a set, they have, certain things in their mind that they're looking for in a wife, when really that's not wifey. That's not who God chose it for them. And so again, when you get to stage 7, and God is allowing your prodigal to observe you from a distance, and as they seeing that you are a woman of character, they seeing your great personality, they seeing your work ethic, when the enemy was whispering in their ears, calling you lazy. But now they seeing, okay, wait a minute, he or she got a good work ethic. Okay, wait a minute, that's a woman or a man of character. Okay, they got a great personality. Like, now they're seeing who the enemy was all along, and if the enemy was even themselves, they could have got in their own way by misjudging you. Now they're seeing, now they're like, man, I was wrong about this individual. These are the things that the prodigal is saying to themselves, okay? And so these are just some of the things you want to look for. Everyone's not going through heavy witchcraft attacks. Everyone's not going through destiny transfer attempts. So you're going to have to apply this, to your situation the best way you know how. Just remember, when you get to stage 7, whatever caused your prodigal spouse to see you differently, to reject you, whatever that was, and you may not even know why your prodigal rejected you, just understand and know whatever their reason why was, is going to come off in stage 7. When you reach stage 7, it's coming off, and because God is now about to highlight your value, okay? It's coming off of you, okay? And your value will be highlighted to your God-ordained prodigal spouse, okay? Yeah, so I'll stop right there, okay? So again, you can find all of these stages in my book, God-Ordained Marriage, by headed over to Amazon.com and getting your copy today, all right? So that is it. I am Tequila Coleman. I'll talk to you all real soon. Take care.